Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hello, everybody. Today I'm interviewing Alicia Marie, principal of People Biz Incorporated in Austin, Texas. Alicia has become a national leader in the field of coaching and training. People Biz is unique in that all of their programs are based in a transformational leadership principle, a principle based on the premise that real change can only happen when leaders are actively engaged in their own growth and development. Alicia has become a national leader in the field of coaching and training. For over 16 years, she's coached managers, leaders, and professionals on building lives, careers, and business truly worth having. Through her company, she's developed numerous tools to support and educate business owners, individuals, and professionals. She's a popular speaker and workshop leader. She's written and led hundreds of programs on leading and managing employees, communication skills, health and well-being, fearless business practices, and entrepreneurial success to clients, professional association, and small businesses. Alicia Marie designs and delivers leading change, recognized by the HR.com as one of the nation's top leadership program. Wow, that's a lot. Welcome, Alicia. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
All right. Alicia, before we jump in, can you tell us a bit more about yourself?
I started as a trainer. I started in personal growth and development. I was always interested in, from the time, as long as I can remember, bettering myself. And then at one point, I was actually in a course, and I looked up. We were talking about vision. It's in 1992, and I looked up and realized I wanted to be someone who was leading these kinds of courses, not academic courses, but courses that actually changed your life. And so that's how I got started. I mean, I'm a teacher at heart, and eventually I figured out that the ROI on training is not very good, actually 10% at best in terms of what you'll retain and integrate. And that's when I'd already had a coach for years. I'd had a business coach, and I'd had a coach while I was learning to be a trainer. And that's when I realized I needed to add coaching, and that kind of was the beginning of my career.
Okay. So you kind of stumbled into it, right? It wasn't something you always wanted to do?
No, in fact, I was coaching and training. I even developed a training program for Cancer Therapy and Research Center for people who need support groups for the terminally ill. That was by accident in 95. And I was already leading support groups, but that's when I discovered I really understand how people learn and that I could write learning programs. And then I was an athlete during that time, and I had children at home and a real estate career, and people kept asking me how I stayed healthy. How is it you're doing this while you're handling all these other things? And I tried to take them to the grocery store and show them how to shop and what supplements to buy, take them to the gym. I'd take them for company walks, and nothing mattered. The training and the information did not matter, made no difference. And so I developed a coaching program that I still lead today called HealthWorks. And it's, coaching is simply a facilitated dialogue. Coaching skills are very similar to facilitation skills. And so that ongoing dialogue for what's possible and what's next is what increases learning to over 30%. And when I quit real estate, sold my businesses in 2000, I started a training company again. And it was within a year, I was coaching. And that's when I got serious and got my neurolinguistics degree and several coaching certifications.
Nice.
But it was not planned.
Well, it's often when the best things happen to us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what personal attributes, traits, qualities you think contributed the most to your success?
Success is a funny word.
Oh, yeah.
Well, first of all, I was born stubborn. And most people, I just was always stubborn. Stubborn sometimes, to my own detriment. Most people give up right before they master something. They give up right before they learn what they need to learn. They get frustrated to hit their ceiling of achievement. They get frustrated and they move on to something else. Kind of that grass is always greener on the other side phenomena, right? They hit their wall and they move on to something else. They try something else. Well, I'm stubborn, so I wouldn't. I just keep hitting my head up against the wall till I figured it out. And I also learned, and this is a process of my career, but I really learned to stop making myself wrong and to start looking at 2 and 2. I always say 2 plus 2 equals 4. And so, for example, you can stand on the scale and see 180 pounds, and you can either go, oh, I'm fat, I shouldn't be that weight, it shouldn't be this way, and on and on. You can make yourself wrong, or you can look at what energy went in and what energy went out to get there. So I learned in business to start to look at the business as very separate from myself, and really, so that way I could look at it neutrally versus attack myself. And that's the difference between men and women. You know, only 2.6% of women business owners will ever hit over $1 million in annual revenue, and over 11% of men will. And that's the biggest difference. Women are much more likely to make it personal.
Can you give some examples of how this trait of being stubborn helped you?
I probably have a million examples. You know, when the recession hit in 2008, we were doing a lot of corporate work. We were going into organizations, and we were developing larger programs. You know, we're helping the onboarding program, developing the leadership training, you know, coaching the key leaders. And when the recession hit, that business dried up. And I heard someone say, follow the money. Someone was talking about business, and I was really desperate at that time because I had to fire employees. You know, half of our clients went away. Most of them we were working with for free because I didn't want to give up on them. And I thought about where's the money. And I developed a business program that I still lead today, and I went and got sponsors for that program. And so I got the money from the larger corporations. American Express was our first sponsor, Sam's Club. Most recently, for the last few years, it's been Capital One. And it was only because I was stubborn. I laid my head on my desk and asked myself, is it time to quit? And no, because I knew someone had money. And I decided that I would do the work I do, even if I had to do it for free. And, you know, that decision propelled me to find it.
Nice.
You know, commitment is an amazing thing. Like when you really, really get committed, you don't have to know how you're going to do it.
So you're talking about the economy being one of the bigger challenges you had to face, but are there other major adversities, trials you'd like to talk about for our entrepreneur friend out there?
Well, I mean, I could take it to my personal life. Certainly I could talk about many entrepreneurial challenges. I mean, you know, you pick a topic. You know, every entrepreneur, I think entrepreneurs, they think they're alone, you know, that we're all the same, and we all, you know, have cash flow challenges. We all have challenges where the way that we're marketing our product stops working, or marketing our service stops working. We have challenges in terms of business development, and you know, most people have challenges around people. They don't really understand how to professionally manage their people and lead their people. Mm-hmm. I would say in the beginning of being an entrepreneur, one of the biggest challenges I had was I didn't follow my own rules. Because I was an entrepreneur, right? That's what entrepreneurs do. They break their own rules. So even though I knew better, I did some staff consulting 16 or 17 years ago. I had this big hiring process, and I would, you know, I had everything set up. So it was a 5-step process. I'd find the right people, and, you know, I'd actually cheat my own process and then end up having to fire someone 45 days later. And so I had to learn to follow my own processes. It was one thing to know you shouldn't steal from your business. Like, a lot of people don't have a budget, for example, set up where they understand they can only take a certain percentage of what they're bringing in. And it needs a small percentage, right? And I call it stealing from your business when you're not doing that. But it's one thing to know you shouldn't steal from your business, or it's one thing to know you need to follow your hiring process. It's one thing to know that you need to have a good follow-up system for your leads that are coming in. It's another to do it and to set it up such that it works.
Mm-hmm. Very good advice. Earlier you talked about some moments where you really hit a wall and you even thought maybe about quitting. Again, your stubbornness and the tenacity helped you move forward, but let's just dig a little deeper from that perspective and see how did you keep going? What did you do on a day-to-day basis to keep going?
I think I think that it's a myth that if you love what you do, the money will follow. I think that's a big lie, and a lot of books have been sold on that. I don't think that's the case at all. I think that you need to bring love to whatever you're doing. And that is a way of being. It's, in other words, if you can't be happy here, you're not going to be able to be happy there. If you can't be passionate and in love with what you're doing now, listen, it's not there. It's not on the other side. You've got to actually cultivate that energy. You've got to cultivate passion and be willing to bring it no matter what. So you've got to learn to bring that. And then what are you going to source from that? Too many people are sourced by their past, meaning they actually believe that they are the sum total of their past. So they're always looking to their past to contrast. More of this, better this, different that, more money, better husband, different body, whatever, right? And when you're looking into your past, you get burnt out. When you think that it's going to be the same old thing every day, this is where vision is vital. And vision could be, what do you see possible for yourself in 2 weeks? If you can't see far enough ahead to see 5 years or 3 years or a year out, what do you see possible now, just even over the next 2 weeks? You've got to give yourself something to be pulled by. Otherwise, it's too much work. And vision actually activates a whole different part of the brain, your prefrontal cortex. When we're operating from the past, fear, we're operating from the back of our brain. Our amygdala, we're producing cortisol and adrenaline and all those fear hormones. And we're not acting rationally typically when we're producing those hormones. When you can move to front of the brain, which is vision, you're going to have better ideas. You're going to be able to see things you couldn't see before. You're more likely to relate to people. You produce good-feeling hormones like dopamine, serotonin, all those endorphins, and oxytocin is a big one.
Very good. Well, you're talking about the word vision. Obviously, being an NLP expert, you have a vision. So let's talk about your vision for the next 5 years for your business.
Well, really, we're actually doing a lot of the same thing, but on a larger level in my vision. I see a lot more talented people working with and for People Biz, bringing their own expertise, and that we're doing it on a global scale. Like I was in Africa in December facilitating a executive retreat, and so that was kind of like an uncommon thing that happens once or twice a year. I see that being the norm, where we're much more international. And I'd like to start facilitating some real conversations between governments and, like with the UN and in cooperation with the UN and things like that. I want to get in there and make a difference in how people are communicating, because we can all find common ground and we can find the solutions.
Cool. That's a nice vision.
Well, actually, my vision is to completely transform how human beings relate and communicate with each other, to the extent that there is no need for coaches or therapists, that I put myself out of a job because we start listening to each other.
And how do you plan on marketing yourself to get there?
Probably not a lot different than what I'm already doing. To boil down the word marketing, I like that it's the continuous process of staying in relationship with the client or customer, and staying aligned, because our markets change, right? And you've got to stay in the right conversation with your market. So marketing isn't something you get done. Marketing is a point of view. It's the point of view of the person, your audience, right? So I need to keep paying attention to what are the thought leaders out there talking about, and how do I stay in that conversation, and then how do I bring my audience along with me?
Interesting perspective. Thank you for that. Now let's just talk a little bit about your clients. What's the common problem you see among your clients?
We're human.
Oh, that's a problem?
It is for most of us. there's an expectation that we have around ourselves, and then there's the fact that we're human. Failure is a real important part of our own growth and development, and it's really where we grow and develop. But when we relate to that in a way that's not healthy, it causes all kinds of problems for us in our lives. People have an idea that to get a coach, you have to have something wrong with you. And it's really the other way around. I have really talented, successful people, and those are the people who are actually going to reach out and say, I could really use a partner in this. I could really use some good dialogue around this on a regular basis. And so it isn't so much problems, but these people are already successful, already winning, but they're playing a big game. Whatever it is, they've got something big in mind, and they know that two heads are better than one.
And obviously it involves changing, right? And changing is one of the toughest things a human being can do. So what about some of the common misconceptions your clients have about making changes?
Mm-hmm. So there's making changes like, changing up staff or changing your brand or changing the carpet in your house, right? But I always say transformation, if you want change to be lasting and significant, transformation comes first. And here's the difference, because it's an overused word right now. Transformation is altering your experience of something. So, for example, you may have a certain experience around money. So to transform your experience, maybe you have an experience of money that there's not enough, okay? So to transform your experience of money would be where you would start, and then that would likely change what's in your bank account. So it's more ontological versus psychological. It's about your relationship to things, your relationship to yourself, your body, to other people, to how you communicate. It's all about transforming your relationship to whatever that is. To expand and alter your experience, then changing something becomes a lot easier.
Mm-hmm. And can you give an example of how people or businesses have benefited?
Sure. Well, I'll go to my health program first because it's something that a lot of people struggle with. You're not going to hate yourself into well-being. You're not going to judge your body into looking the way it should. You're not going to criticize yourself into becoming healthy. It's not going to happen, or it won't be sustainable. So I support people in expanding how they see themselves. The truth is they're going to love and nurture themselves into well-being. And so we work on that shift. And when we can transform how they're experiencing themselves, then making the basic changes around food and exercise are easy. And it's the same in business.
As you know, there's a lot of people out there that are coaches already, or would like to break into this business. What one piece of advice would you give someone who wants to become a coach in whatever they're an expert in?
Well, just like I want to say again that coaches are not experts. So I'm an expert. So I'm a trainer. I have expertise in many training topics. I'm a consultant. I'm an expert there. But one of the differences between coaches is that coaches, in the relationship with the person they're coaching, the person they're coaching is the expert. We facilitate their wisdom. And this is a big misnomer. So a lot of people, they're really consultants. They're really trainers. They go, oh, I have an expertise in X, and I'm no longer going to call myself a consultant. I'm now going to call myself a coach. Well, the market is flooded with those people. The people who are not even tapped into what are the core competencies of a coach. They're not involved in the industry at all. They're not pursuing certifications. They're not in the conversation with other coaches. They're not professional. And there's a big, big difference. So if you're looking for a coach, find a professional coach. So I would say don't be that person. Don't be that person who lose your job and then you decide you're a coach. Go get the real skills. Elevate our industry. Don't drag it down, please. And look for International Coach Federation and World Association of Business Coaches. International Coach Federation encompasses all kinds of coaches. You can join without being a coach, but to get the certifications, you'll show that you've had the training, and then you'll actually do oral exams and written exams.
And if we bring this to the other side of the table, I mean, you've already alluded to the fact that if somebody wants to hire a coach, they should look for somebody who's got the credentials. But is there anything else you'd recommend somebody that wants to hire a coach? What should they look for?
Ask them one question: do you have a coach? Because if you want to know if someone's drinking their own Kool-Aid. Because truly, if you believe that coaching works, why wouldn't you always have a coach? If you know you can't be yourself, and that two heads are better than one, and that there's value to real dialogue, why wouldn't you have your own coach always? And so that's one of the first things, in addition to being credentialed, is ask them if they have a coach. And if you're a business owner, pay attention to how they run their business. Do they even have a business?
Wow. Well, that was very enlightening, Alicia. Thank you so much. How can our listeners learn more or get in touch with you?
Well, you can call us, 512-989-2230, or you can go to our website, peoplebizinc.com, peoplebizinc.com. And feel free to look around. If you call, you can always request a complimentary coaching session. We'll give a coaching session to anyone, even if you're not ready now to have a coach. If you're more interested in what we have available for your team or your organization, you can request a discovery session. And several of us as experts here at PeopleBiz will join the call and ask a lot of questions and assess what's going on in your organization or with your team, and then make a proposal as to what we think will actually be the total solution.
Well, Alicia, thank you so much for taking the time to doing this with us. I mean, this was very interesting, very enlightening. So thank you very much for this. Really appreciate this. And my listeners, I'm sure, appreciated that too. So thank you so much for your time.
It was my pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.